The 400-year curse, slavery in Egypt. I want to talk about that. Let's go over that. I was supposed to Ben brought this to the internet, but yeah, let's get into it. So 2025 makes the end of the curse. It was in a 2019 or 2020? No. Was it 2020 or 2025? Makes the ending of the 400-year curse. So it's the Old Testament highlights the consequences of the Israelites' disobedience to God's covenant, including periods of exile and hardship. These consequences were not always explicitly labeled as a curse, but rather as the natural outcome of turning away from God's commands. It's Deuteronomy 28:15 through 68. It outlines the curses that will befall the Israelites if they disobey God's covenant. The curse encompassed a wide range of consequences, including physical elements, agricultural devastation, defeat in battle, oppression by enemies, and ultimately exile from the promised land. The chapter emphasizes that these curses are a direct result of turning away from God and his laws. Genesis 15:13, the Lord said to him, "Know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there." So it's entering into a covenant with God is a relational process involving faith, repentance, and commitment to God's will. It's not a contract, but a deep personal relationship where one agrees to follow God's guidance and teachings. This involves recognizing God's offer of grace and responding with faith, repentance, and obedience. The 400-year period refers to as the silent years. It was the end of the Old Testament and a beginning of the New Testament, where there was no direct revelation from God to the Israelites. The last book of the Old Testament, Malachi, is in between that time of the Old Testament. This is when the rise and the fall of the Greek, Roman, and Persian empires. The Israelites were waiting on Jesus' arrival, preparing for the Messiah, along with the Old Testament unfolding and fulfilling itself. This was right around the time religion snuck through the back door, when everybody wasn't looking. The ending of the Old Testament is when religion came in. This was with the Greeks, the Romans, and the Persian Empire. And then the Bible was unfolding around this time. It was a quiet time. They were waiting for Jesus to show up. In the New Testament is where Jesus actually showed up. And it was 430 years in total. So until new rulership came, 430 years, and 430 equals 7. So it was the slavery total time was 430 years. And that 430 reduced down to 7. Disobedience and adultery was the reason that the people were cursed.